Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today's video is going to be a favorites video. We're just gonna kick back and talk about the products that I am loving right now. I have discovered a lot of new favorites recently. I also have a couple of, I won't say fails, let's just say disappointing products, okay? I just have a couple of those. We'll talk about those at the end, but let's first talk about the products that I'm loving right now. So let's kind of go in order of, you know, a full face of makeup. I'm gonna start with a couple of base products that I'm loving. This is a combo, okay? So it's not so much the individual products on their own, but it's the combo of these two things that I've been loving. The Supergoop Glowscreen SPF 40 and the NYX Born to Glow foundation. Something about these two together is just beautiful. So the Supergoop Glowscreen, if you saw my big like sunscreen extravaganza video, I think it was in June, like towards the end of June. What month are we in right now? I think it was around June. Supergoop Glowscreen was one of the ones I talked about in that video, and I did sort of rank them in order from my least favorite to my favorite. This one was somewhere in the middle. So what I said in that video about this product was that it's just a very kind of specific type of sunscreen that I don't think would work for everybody. It's just very glowy. I mean, it holds true to its name. It's almost like putting a liquid highlighter all over your face, but it really does give a nice kind of like soft filter effect underneath certain foundations, and this is my favorite foundation I think to wear it under. I'm wearing both today, although I do also have, I'm wearing like 3 different sunscreen products today. I went a little overboard because I remembered I was filming this video after I'd already put on the e.l.f. like priming shield SPF 50, I think is what it's called, that's in my project pan before, like as I was just getting ready this morning, and then later I was like, oh yeah, I need to put this on too because I'm filming a video and I wanted to wear all the favorites that I was talking about. So anyway, it's probably looking a little different than it would if I was just wearing this and this and not like also the e.l.f. primer shield stuff, but you get the idea. But this, actually, I found this combo when I filmed my my Cats Pick My Makeup video. Elaine was the one that picked both this primer and this foundation. The reason why I call it a primer is because they actually say on here that it's meant to be a luminous makeup gripping primer. And I definitely would recommend treating this more like a primer sunscreen because I pretty much only wear it on makeup days, like underneath other makeup. I feel like on its own it's just a little bit too intensely glowy. Anyway, that's that, and underneath this foundation it just looks beautiful. The NYX Born to Glow foundation, I do like this foundation even on its own. I do think it's similar to my like ultimate favorite foundation, the Physicians Formula Healthy foundation. I think it's similar. It's not quite a dupe, but it's close enough, and I have really been enjoying it lately. On its own and paired with, especially paired with the Supergoop Glowscreen. Another thing that has quickly become a favorite, this is the only thing out of all of this that I forgot to put on today. I accidentally put on a different concealer because I wasn't thinking, but this is very new to me. I've been using it really for like 2 weeks now, so not long, but I can already tell you I love it. It's the NYX Born to Glow concealer, so it goes along with this foundation. This was introduced to me by my friend here on YouTube, Alexandra Smith. We did a collab together last week or the week before. It was recent. We each picked 5 of our favorite drugstore products for the other person to try. This was one of the things she chose for me. I've been loving all the products she chose for me, but this one I've been using like non-stop ever since we did that video. I actually think it's kind of similar to my other favorite concealer and the concealer that I recommended to her, which was the Jordana Take Cover Concealer. Very similar. They're both kind of a nice creamy texture, and they look really similar on the skin in terms of coverage. They both have good coverage. I would say definitely not full coverage, but kind of, you know, in between medium and high coverage. They're very lightweight. They look very skin-like. This is just, I'm just loving it so much. It does have kind of a sponge tip applicator, which I know not everybody would like. Kind of reminds me though of that really popular Maybelline, what is it called? You know, the Age Rewind, I think is what it's called. That one's kind of a click up one, but it has a similar kind of sponge tip applicator. I feel like it could be similar to that one. I've never tried that one, but I have a feeling, just from what I've heard, that this one might be a comparable dupe for that. But yeah, it's like, it's very kind of thin, but it still has really good coverage. It doesn't crease very badly on me either. Like I can leave it sitting there before I've set it for a few minutes and it's hardly creasing in my fine lines, which is really impressive to me. And I just think it looks really flawless on the skin. It's like a cross between as much coverage as a concealer could have without creeping into that like really cakey, thick territory, like kind of like the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer, which I like, but that one is only for certain occasions. This is just such a good everyday concealer. I am already loving it so much. It's like the only concealer that I've been using the last few days, except for today. I don't know why I forgot to use it today. Okay, another thing, I've been talking about this a lot. I feel like, I don't think I talked about this in my last favorites video. I think my last favorites video was 2 months ago. I've kind of been getting into a groove of doing my monthly favorites more like bi-monthly. I feel like every single month I don't quite have enough things to include in a favorites video, so I've just sort of been doing it every other month instead, and that seems to be working pretty well. So anyway, I've talked about this a lot since my last favorites video, but I don't think I've included it in a favorites video yet. This is the Clove and Hallow Hydratint Serum Blush in Blossom. They have other shades as well. They have some deeper shades, and they have a pretty nice variety of shades. This is like this very light, neutral, dusty pink. Such a perfect shade. Like, this is my ideal blush shade. It's not too warm and peachy. It's not too like bubblegummy pink. It's just right in the middle. It really complements my skin tone so well. It looks like the color that my skin would be if I were naturally flushed. And so the shade I love, the formula I love. It looks like a nail polish comes out of here, and it's actually like a brush tip applicator. I'll just dot a little bit on each cheek, blend it out with a sponge or a brush or my fingers, whatever I'm feeling that day. It blends out so easily. I am wearing this today, and I just feel like it's the perfect blush for me. I love it. I know that this kind of liquidy serum type blush is really popular, especially with those M Cosmetics blushes that I still haven't tried, but they look gorgeous. I think that this might be similar to those. I think that this is $19, so it's kind of up there. I would call that kind of mid-range. It's definitely not, you know, up there with like high-end brands necessarily, but it's also not drugstore either. You can get it off their website. I think there's a few other websites you can buy them on, and it's a cool kind of smaller business. They're actually based in Atlanta, Georgia, which is close-ish to me, so that's cool. So another favorite that I've actually had for a while, but I've only just recently gotten into it and really started loving it. It's the ColourPop Super Shock Cheek Highlight in Monster. This is a duochrome highlight. It's sort of like a, you know the shade Cube in the Subculture palette? It's sort of like a white looking color with like a reddish pink shift to it. That's kind of what this is. There's also a shade in the e.l.f. Opposites Attract like this, and I like it because it doesn't look too frosty on my cheeks. Like, it has a white base, but the whiteness doesn't look too frosty. Like, I've tried using that shade from the Subculture palette as a highlight, and it looks a little too white on my cheeks, but this is much better for that. So when I first got this, I was kind of, it just wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a lot more intense, and it's actually a very subtle highlight, which I'm learning that I really love for this kind of shade, because it does have this like almost iridescent duochrome type of quality to it, but it's subtle, so it's really easy to pull off even with just an everyday look. But if you're talking to someone and they're looking more up close, they're like, ooh, like that is a really cool highlight. It's a nice sort of subtle way to pull off a duochrome kind of highlight like this. So I'm really enjoying it. This is one of their pearlized ones. I know they have different finishes of their Super Shock products, so I think they probably have some much more intense highlighters. Like, I know I've heard like Lunch Money, Flexitarian. This isn't going to be like those. I haven't tried those, but just from what I've heard, this is a much more kind of just pearlescent, subtle looking highlight, but it's very pretty, and it's definitely unlike anything else I have in my collection. Definitely has a very solid place in my collection. I actually hit pan on it today, just barely. Like, I have the tiniest bit of pan in there. These Super Shock products are really easy to hit pan on because they're very kind of squishy and malleable as it is, so you kind of just naturally hit pan pretty quickly because you're almost like digging your finger in there. Not really, but you know what I mean? If you've ever tried one, you probably know what I mean. But yeah, loving that, and I'm glad that I finally realized what a great highlight this is because it's beautiful. So a very budget-friendly favorite that I have really quickly fallen in love with is this palette from Profusion. This is the Profusion Mauves palette. This is a $5 palette. Can we just let that sink in for a second? This is, when I posted about this on Instagram, some of you guys were like, that is Sarah in a palette. And you're right, like this is, you know, it's a very monochromatic palette. They have several palettes kind of in this 10 pan series. They have the Mauves one, they have like a purple one, they have a neon one. They have several other shades of these, and it seems like they're always coming out with new ones. They also have some much larger palettes, but I'm kind of into the slightly more curated color stories these days. If you love mauves, I think you would love this palette. You guys know I really like soft, dusty, pinky mauve eyeshadow looks. That is what this will give you. Honestly, it has a similar vibe to the Modern Renaissance palette. With you know, the berries and the mauves, but it is missing some of those much warmer, rustier tones. So if you like the kind of cooler, more berry tones of the Modern Renaissance palette, but not so much those really warm orangey tones, this would be a great one to go for. And it's $5. And if you look at the swatches, I mean, they swatch beautifully. I love the shimmers in here. You get 4 shimmers and 6 mattes. Actually, one of the mattes does have some shimmer in it, but it's essentially matte. There really aren't any like repeat shades in here. They're all really unique. And I just think it's a bargain, but not only is it a bargain, it's a really good quality palette. Okay, my last makeup favorite, and then I have several skincare favorites as well. Okay, this is something that I actually received in PR. I was very excited to try it out. The Urban Decay Lash Freak Mascara. I love this mascara, but I want to be very clear that, okay, this is the $25 mascara. You can also get a 2-pack for like $34. So it's a high-end mascara. I want to be very clear that I would not have bought this with my own money. Very grateful to have had the opportunity to try it out and review it for you. I know not everybody likes to spend a high-end price tag on a mascara, myself included. Once I use this up, I probably would not buy it again unless it was on a really good sale. I would spend up to $15 for this, okay? But all of that aside, like, I just want to be very clear that I'm not advocating for you to go out and purchase a high-end mascara, but wow, so it has a very unique brush. That's kind of like the whole sort of selling point of this, is that it's like an asymmetrical brush. One side almost looks like the underside of a caterpillar or something. It's a little weird. And then the other side is completely bare. I don't really care about the bare side. I don't really use that. It's supposed to be there to just help you like lift your lashes, but I don't use the bare side. And then you also have sort of a round tip with bristles on it. If you look at this up close, you can see that it comes out really loaded up with a lot of product, which scared me at first because I was like, that's gonna be so messy. And it definitely is a little bit of a messy mascara. When you first start applying it, it puts a lot of product in your lashes, but you know, don't let that freak you out because you can kind of work through it and comb through it. And it is, you know, kind of on the clumpy side when it comes to mascaras, but I feel like that kind of just allows it to give your lashes a lot of volume and also a ton of length. So it's definitely not like a separating mascara, but the trade-off is really good volume and really good length. So if you don't like a messy sort of wet kind of mascara formula that can be a little clumpy, you would hate this. But if you like intense lashes and you don't mind it getting a little bit messy sometimes, wow, this is like, I would say this is like Flower Lash Warrior on steroids. Like, if you like the Flower Lash Warrior and you want even more crazy volume and to just look like you're wearing false lashes, this is amazing. So really want to emphasize, not for everyone. I know it's pricey, I would maybe try to get like a deluxe sample size in the future, or, you know, wait for a really good sale. But I will be honest, I would not buy this at full price. But very grateful to have been able to try it. I'm not normally a high-end mascara person, but if you are, I know some of you guys like to splurge sometimes, I would definitely recommend it. And I'm hoping, you know, I've only had this open for probably about 3 weeks now, been using it really consistently. It hasn't started to dry out or anything. It's still growing very strong. So I'm hoping that I can get a good solid 6 months of use out of this. You know, it does say on the back that's kind of the shelf life is 6 months. I know some people like to throw them away after 3, but honestly, with a high-end mascara, I'm gonna try to stretch that thing out for 6 months. Oh, and then I haven't had any issues with this smudging or flaking either. It's not waterproof. Like if you rub your eyes, or if you go outside in 95-degree weather and 70% humidity, you know, it might flake a little bit if you're sweating, but for day-to-day wear, I really don't have any issues with staying power either. I cannot stand this shirt. Like, it's making me actually kind of annoyed. So I will go ahead and talk about the 2 sort of disappointing makeup products before I move on to the skincare, because they're also both lash products as well. It's these 2 things from Covergirl. I actually bought these at the same time. The Covergirl Clump Crusher Extensions Mascara and the Covergirl Lashblast Amplify Primer. Okay, so this mascara is just disappointing. Like, it doesn't really do anything for my lashes. I thought I would like it because, you know, you guys know I like my spiky rubber bristle brushes, okay? I do have a thing for those brushes. A lot of people told me I might like this one because it has that kind of brush that I like. It's curved, it's nice, and it's got a lot of nice bristles, and I really do like the brush, but this mascara just is very underwhelming. Now, I got the Clump Crusher Extensions version, so it's not the original Clump Crusher, but from what I've heard from you guys, it's similar. Somebody told me that they had tried both and they really weren't that different. So, you know, I can only speak for this one, of course, but the first time I used it, I liked it, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to use this some more times, because sometimes you have to use a mascara for like a week or 2 to really get to its prime. But honestly, the more I've used this, the less I've liked it. It's like it barely coats my lashes at all. I have to really build it up. It's definitely very lengthening. Like when I look up close at my lashes, I'm like, okay, yeah, my lashes look really nice and long. But they don't really stand out. Like if I get a little further from my face, it's like my lashes just aren't that visible. And you guys know I love, you know, very dramatic lashes, so it could just be that this is not really for me. I think if you like a very natural looking lash with just some length and for it to just kind of darken your lashes, this will do the job just fine. But for me, it's just not doing a whole lot for me. Sometimes I'll layer it under the Urban Decay Lash Freak. I do like that, but I feel like it takes away some of the really thick volume that this gives. So, but it does help with separation, so there's that. The main way I've been using it now is just on my lower lashes because it does work for that. It's nice and easy to apply. It's not gonna get messy or weird, so I'll use it up, but I'm just not impressed with that. And then the Lashblast Amplify Primer, I think what I've realized is I'm just not really a lash primer person. Like, I don't like doing a whole extra step before mascara, and I think that this, I've compared it side by side, like this on one eye and not on the other, definitely with this one. I think I've also done it with the Urban Decay one, and I think it gives a little bit of volume when I use it with this Clump Crusher one. But other than that, it really just doesn't make that big of a difference. And I think that if I'm gonna be doing a whole extra step to apply a lash primer, I want it to like really do something for me. Yeah, I think that's the verdict I've come to. Unless a lash primer is working absolute miracles for me, it's not really worth the whole extra step. I kind of just want my mascara to do all of it for me. Just a few skincare products. I feel like in almost every favorites video, I have to share a few skincare favorites because I love skincare, I really do. I almost love skincare as much as I love makeup, especially recently. Couple of things that I have been really enjoying. Actually, I've been liking them both equally. They are both leave-on glycolic acid treatments. So the first one I tried is the Acure Resurfacing Overnight Glycolic Treatment. This one I bought with my own money, and then I received in PR another one from Derma E. This is their Overnight Peel with alpha hydroxy acids. These are both kind of, they have similar sort of purposes. The Acure one says it has moonstone, true unicorn root, glycolic, and lactic acid for all skin types. And so I have to say, the packaging is what really drew me in. This is so cute. Acure has been, whatever, with their whole rebrand I think that they did recently, they have been really tempting me. Like, their products are just adorable, and there's just something about the aesthetic that's got me kind of interested in like everything that they sell. But this, I found it at Target, and it was about $19 I think at Target. Online I'm looking, it's about $20 at Target and then $25 on the Acure website, so it definitely varies, but you know, it's a little pricey. I was really wanting to incorporate some sort of AHAs into my routine. I always use BHAs, but I really do like having both and kind of alternating between the two because I feel like they both help my skin in different ways. These both have both glycolic and lactic acid in them. Looking at the ingredients, both of those are kind of lower down on the Acure ingredient list, whereas with the Derma E one, the second ingredient after water is glycolic acid, and then lactic acid is a little bit further down. So the Derma E one specifically says on the website that it's a 5% AHA, whereas the Acure one doesn't really have a percentage. So just based on the fact that the glycolic and lactic acids are pretty far down on the ingredient list in this one, I think this one may be a little bit gentler. But honestly, I like both of these equally. I feel like as far as effectiveness, they're the same. The Derma E one is basically double the value, so they're about the same price, but the Derma E one is 2 fluid ounces, whereas the Acure one is 1 fluid ounce. They are both, as far as I can tell, free of added fragrance. The Derma E one really doesn't have a scent at all. The Acure one does have a little bit of a scent, kind of a strong scent, but looking at the ingredients, I don't see any added fragrance, so I'm pretty sure that's just the scent of the ingredients. You know what I mean? Like, some ingredients just have a smell. Yeah, really liking both of these. I feel like with both of them, I put them on at night, and the next morning I really noticed my skin just looking a lot smoother, less texture. They're like plump, and just my skin just looks really healthy the next morning with both of these. So honestly, I'd say in terms of effectiveness, they're the same. I would have to say I kind of prefer the Acure one just because it almost feels like an overnight mask in that it's very hydrating. So I put this on, and I actually don't use a night cream or moisturizer over it because this is already so moisturizing, and I wake up and my skin is super dewy. So with this one, it's almost like a hydrating overnight mask. Whereas with the Derma E one, it's a little bit lighter weight, so I'll apply it, let it sink in for a few minutes, and then I will follow up with my usual moisturizer just because I do feel like I need a little bit more moisture with this. But neither one really says that it's supposed to be used as a moisturizer, so I wasn't expecting that out of either. But I would say I think I do prefer the Acure one a little bit more, but as far as which one I would repurchase, probably the Derma E, just because it's a way better value and it does the same thing. So I'm loving both of these. I think that if you're trying to incorporate an AHA into your routine, both of these are fantastic. I really can't recommend one over the other, but the packaging of the Acure one is just so cute. I really want to try more from Acure. Does anybody have any other Acure recommendations? Because they have been like drawing me in recently just with their whole aesthetic. A couple of sunscreen favorites. I already mentioned the Supergoop Glowscreen. I also have really been so impressed with two of the others from my sunscreen video that I tested out and reviewed. I will link that video down below if you missed it, but I went into a ton of detail about 6 different face sunscreens. But the Derma E All Performance Face Sunscreen with SPF 30, I am almost out of this. I've been using this practically every day. This is really affordable. It's I think $13 depending on where you get it, but around there. You get 2 fluid ounces, so you get a good amount of product. It's very hydrating. I don't have to use a separate moisturizer underneath. There's no white cast. It's not super greasy, although I do think if you have oily skin, it could make you a little greasy throughout the day. It's fragrance free, it's water resistant. It really does check off like all the boxes for me, and I think a lot of people would really like that. So Really recommend that. It's seriously almost empty. And then the Versed Guards Up Daily Mineral Sunscreen SPF 35. The Derma E one is a chemical sunscreen. It has octocrylate, octosalate, and avobenzone, so it is kind of a traditional chemical sunscreen. I know not everybody likes chemical sunscreen, so this is a really good mineral option. This is a zinc oxide sunscreen, so that's the only active ingredient. This is my favorite mineral sunscreen I've ever tried. It's very lightweight, it's not greasy, it does have a little bit of a tint, but it's almost like the tint kind of blends out. It's very translucent, so it's different than other tinted sunscreens I've tried. And I'm really enjoying this one as well. I haven't been using it as much just because I'm trying to use up the Derma E one first, but such a good option. It's a little pricey. I think it's like $22. So, you know, it's a little up there, but seriously the best mineral sunscreen that I've tried so far. And then I have a body care favorite to end things off with, and then I'm finally done. I know this has been a long video, but the Giovanni Hot Chocolate Sugar Scrub. This smells divine. It literally smells like hot chocolate, and I just love the experience of using this. I bought this off of Vitacost. I place Vitacost orders pretty regularly just to stock up on things like vitamins and toothpaste and stuff like that, and sometimes I'll treat myself to something like this. I love this. Giovanni, I think, is mainly known for their hair care products, which I've also enjoyed quite a few Giovanni hair care products, but I'd never really delved into their body care. But if you're a body scrub person, I highly recommend this. It just smells amazing. I feel like it doesn't make my shower super messy, which a lot of body scrubs do. And the texture is really nice. It holds together really well. Like, it's pretty solid in there, but it also glides over your skin and then rinses off really easily. So it does have walnut shell powder in it, which I know I don't think that's good for your skin. Really, physical exfoliants aren't good for your skin as far as what I've heard. I don't use them on my face, but I love using them on my body. It's kind of like a treat yourself kind of thing. I only use it maybe once a week, so I don't think it's harming my skin. I haven't noticed it damaging my skin, so I just enjoy the experience of using it. It's also really helpful when I am self-tanning, just to kind of help my tan last a little bit longer. So this just makes me so happy. I think this will probably just be my go-to body scrub from now on, because it's so wonderful and luxurious. It has crushed cocoa beans in it. I could just sit here and smell this all day. So good. So those are all of my current favorites. Lots of makeup, lots of skincare. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, everything will be linked down below. If you do decide to shop through those links, I do make a small commission, which really does help me continue improving my channel. So I do appreciate your support if you do decide to shop through those links. But that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to see you again soon, and I will talk to you next time.